Hi everyone! Good day to you, it's me, Lulu. How is it going with you today? Indeed, you might be wondering, how did you get in Pog Kitchen? Well, I'm a hunter, so I come here to eat, of course. So yes, I want to tell you a little story today about my first encounter with a Plesioth. But first of all, and look at this, there's a fireplace to my to my left indeed. And there's water running to my right. I think it's very pretty, very beautiful place, and there's the mountains around us. And beautiful cats in the background. You know, looking at the ceiling, pointing at the ceiling. What beautiful creatures. But yes, let me tell you my first encounter in my new adventure against the Plesioth. The Plesioth. What's a Plesioth, you might... Plesioth, you might ask. A Plesioth is a big fish. It's a big fish, like, when I say big, it's like Titanic size, you know, big fish. With beautiful glistening scale with, like, water running down them when it just leaps out of like, the lakes and rivers. It has big fins, and it has a silly head that goes like... when it's angry, with a bit of like fog coming out of its mouth, like breath fog. It's a beautiful creature, but God, it's pretty deadly. It's very deadly. Like, okay, well, in my new adventure, I went directly to the guild. I didn't really go talk too much to the elder. I didn't bother helping out the elder at first. I directly went to the guild. See, like, the guild guards, the quest they gave me, and of course I wanted to do the Plesioth. So I went there. Indeed, I went to the desert in full winter clothing, mamofu garments, you know. And it's such a hot desert, like there's sand and there's sand. it's so hot it burns when you touch it, and you can imagine how hot it was to have like winter clothing in, well, very dry landscapes, so to say. But the Plesioth is there, and you might ask yourselves, but Lulu, it's a desert, but there's water in the desert, so you explore the desert, and then you will find a cave. A big, huge cave, and there's a river running through it with a subterranean cave, I think. And in this subterranean cave, the Plesioth was waiting for me in the depths. Indeed. There's another way to reach this lake, which is actually diving down the dried well next to the camp that the guild provides us. You can jump in the dried well, and then you will land in this place, because I assume that's where they used to take some water from. So yes, there's this beautiful luxurious cave, you know, and the Plesioth is down there, maybe a few UFOs while we're at it. It's beautiful and fine. And yeah, the Plesioth was probably chilling down there with its PSP, you know, playing the game. When there are fighties in the game. So thankfully the guild provided us some sonic bombs, so I threw it at him. I threw a sonic bomb to annoy it, and it succeeded. It came out of the water, it leaped, and it cursed in Plesioth, like it was like, hey, you silly hunter, how dare you do this to me, I'm very angry now and I'm cursing. And and it spit on me like a water camel with its fins and its tiny beady eyes. It spit, and its spit is very deadly. Like, it's not just a water gun, it's a water laser, high pressurized, so you can imagine how damaging it is to someone in beginner armor. Indeed. So it slithered around like a snake, like, you know, like, and I'm like trying to dodge it, and there's the game praise, because the game praise are populating the cave as well. And they jump all around, they try to like snipe me, and they succeed because in this game they are very good at what they do, annoy you. So they jump and they paralyze you because they can paralyze you as well, you know. Like their gameplays, they have paralyzing fangs. So they jump, you get paralyzed, and then you get one-shotted by the big fish. Indeed. And I got to encounter the beautiful, deadly hipchecking. And that is... it deserves its reputation. The hitbox on this hits you across the universe, I swear. Thankfully, if you have a shield, that's not too much trouble. And I was using my trusty gun lance. So I could block this. Indeed, I started my adventure with a gun lance, and it wasn't well upgraded, I think. So it was kind of like a beginner weapon, and I did it, like I fought it with it. You know, I did my best. The Plesioth, well, it was slithering like a snake, and it was spinning around like a Beyblade, like a crazy, like, whirlwind of wetness scales, you know, this kind of thing, and it hurts so much. In Mammoth Armor, if you get hit, it's more, that's even more damage than a G-rank attack. A G-rank attack with appropriate G-rank level armor. It is way harder than this actually. Two hits and you're dead, possibly one-shotted. So it was so deadly, and I was so glad I had a shield, because that most likely saved me from immediately carting, fainting. So, you know, like, it's attacking me, I was guarding, and with the gun lance, because the gun lance is like a big cannon, like it's like boom boom, and like this like a butt face, it's relentless, and this gameplay is jumping around, so I explode this way and this way, you know, with the powerful lance cannon of ultimate boom boom. And it's epic that I have sweat dripping down my forehead, cause, well, you know, I get a bit damp from it, like throwing water at me, and it's still a desert. I mean, I guess it's a bit cold in the cave, you know, you need some hot drinks. The intensity of it, oh my god, that was so intense, you know, really paying attention, focusing, otherwise you're dead meat. You're fish bait, literally. And each time it tripped, I used the powerful, the mighty ability of the gun lance, the Wyvern Fire. The Wyvern Fire, I love this. It charges with its ultimate charge. And there's this satisfying sound of like, or should I say explosion that's just about to be released. And it boom! And it had a huge knockback. My arm really like, oof. I took the shock. I trained for this, right? So I took the shock. But yeah, each time it went down, I did this, and it started to smell kind of good actually. I mean, it's a fish, so if you cook it, it's cooked fish. And I loved it. It looked delicious. The Plesioth actually would make delicious sushi. You know. Delicious sushi. So it's like, you know, like, and then he gets up and he's like, he runs around like a water ballerina, half cooked, like kind of like a fish stick on legs that runs away. And it ran away into the water and it swam up the riverside. And I followed, you know, not through the water, but through the cave system, and we arrived at this beautiful open area between the rocky rocks, the sandy rocks of the desert, and the river was running nearby. That's an enclosed space. There were some Apsiroses, and when they spotted me, like they kind of like turned their heads and their eyes glowed red, and they were like, you could just feel and see in their soul their hatred for humanity. Like everything hates humans in this game. It's absolutely crazy. Z. You know, there's the open sky, there's the fresh air, and there's the scent of like Apsirosis poop everywhere, you know. The Plesioth was just chilling in the water while I had like this like nemesis never stopping chasing me. Indeed, they were so relentless with the hatred. And the Plesioth was sunbathing, and he jumped out of the water. And that's when the last showdown happened. I actually forgot to mention that I karted 2 times beforehand. Because at some points I didn't kart fast enough, so I would get one-shotted. You know, if I had just the slightest sliver of health taken away, it would one-shot me. I didn't have a lot more chances. I had only 1 chance left before the guild took me away. So that's already so intense, you know? So he jumps on land, and there's the showdown. And I trip it. And that's when I say something that I will always remember saying. Big fish means cooked fish. Indeed. And oh my god. And guess what? There's like the sand being spread everywhere. Sticking on its legs. I hit it. It hits me. I jump. Superman jump to try to get out of the way before it completely annihilates me. At very multiple chances, I think, I was that close to failing my quest. But I held on. I did not give up, even with such low chances. And guess what? Just before I killed it, the stream cut off. Nobody could see what happened at the end. And let me tell you, it was amazing. Mind-blowing, actually. Because I can't show you, I can tell you all about it now. So I was there hitting it. There's an Apsiros that comes on the side, you know, and it flings me with its spiky tail. Like, I fly away. And guess what? The Plesioth comes, does a hip shake. I just fling upwards. I just fly upwards. Super high, at super high speed. Knocked out. And I'm almost in space at this point. Like, it's incredible. And then the Plesioth charges a water beam like I've never seen before, like something so strong. I could see it from kilometers away in the air. It came towards me, and that's when I used it. The secret technique of the gun lance. Not many people know about it, but there's a very secret technique. I removed the limiter of the gun lance, and I used it. The Wyvern Fury. My gun lance charged. The power emanating from it was blazing, was too hot to handle. It started to burn my hands through the thick winter gloves. A huge ray of fire exploded from my gun lance. Like a sort of kamehameha of blazing goodness, collided with the water beam, and there was a struggle of power, while I was pushed upwards even further towards the sky, breaking the atmosphere. But it wasn't enough. The Plesioth was gaining ground. The water beam was repulsing my flames, cutting them apart like it was very little, actually, like butter. Like fiery butter. And I didn't have a choice. I swear, I didn't have a choice. I was in space at that point. Oxygen was running low, and there was a feline spaceship. A feline spaceship shaped like a feline head, with 3 felines inside, little cosmonauts costumes, gears. At that point I knew it was now or never. or I was going to die from lack of oxygen, or I was going to die from being hit with one of the most powerful attacks in the universe by the Plesioth. And that's why I truly used the secret technique of the gun lance. So that's when I used it, the Wyvern Cataclysm, removing the second limiter from the weapon. The fire beam grew 10 times larger. The heat emanating from it was like a miniature sun. And this ray overtook the water beam. Completely, it evaporated it. The gun lance was barely holding on. Holding it was too painful to handle. I almost fainted, but not before the fire beam engulfed the Plesioth and actually made quite a sizable hole in the ground where it was. It became ashes, and I got recovered by the Phelan spaceship. Objective complete. Whew. It was such an adventure. Like, insane. Impressive what they did with the PSP, you know, really. As a child, the first time I fought it, I actually used a sword and shield that was very bad actually. I didn't upgrade it a lot, and I fought the Plesioth for 49 minutes. I just had a few seconds left, I think, before the timer was over, and it was such an intense experience. I was playing under my sheets at night. So there was my sweat dripping on the screen, so I would wipe it between dodging, you know, a few hip shakes. I'm blocking with my sword and shield. It was like the Velociprey sword and shield. Beautiful weapon, actually, but it wasn't that effective against it. But yes. Thank you very much for watching me today. I appreciate you. I appreciate it. Thank you for lending me a bit of your time. And I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye! Shh. You're a gun lance.